3, 2, 1.
Right, so today I received a laptop, HP ProBook laptop, that's got this problem here. It just turns on its own, the fan just running in high speeds, non-stop, immediately when you connect it to power or when you turn on the power button. So as you can see, I did not turn on the power button, but it's already on. It's on, it's off now. The laptop is off. In the next few seconds, 8 seconds or so, it will turn itself back on. Right, the laptop is now on. F5 key and F11 keys. I've got some lights on. Caps lock now key should begin to show some lights. It flashes and then it should turn off immediately like this. So this is signifying that it's getting power, but the power is not reaching the processor, or it's not getting into the processor to then finally boot up the laptop. This is why you see you've got only a blank screen here. So this is an indication that it's got a failed or corrupt BIOS. BIOS is the basic input-output system to power on to process the firmware, laptop firmware. Right, okay, so there are a number of things that causes BIOS to get corrupt. In this particular case, it could just be an interrupted BIOS or firmware update that was taking place, and this is the most common thing really. So if BIOS is updating, you don't have to turn on or to turn off the laptop or to disconnect it from power or whatever computer that you're operating on. So yeah, here we are. So I'm going to try a number of methods to get this laptop back to life. Alright, so I've disconnected it from power, and I've tried to recover BIOS using a BIOS bootable USB. So that failed. So I'm just going to go on to the next level of recovering BIOS for this laptop. I'm going to show you in the next video how to create a BIOS USB, and then you could try. Chances are very high that sometimes you can be able to resuscitate corrupt BIOS using that BIOS USB, but the chances are 50-50 really. So when it fails, you go on to the next level of troubleshooting. So here we go. Laptop here, we need to remove the back cover. The back cover has just got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws. Very easy to open, and the screws are easily accessible. So when you open the back cover, I've just undone the screws. Right, okay, so here's the laptop battery. I've also undone the screws here. Let's take it off. Right, here's the laptop storage, or NVMe. Sometimes people they call it an SSD drive. So SSD drive fits in here, but this is an NVMe, better technology than SSD. Right, okay, so these are the 2 RAM chips compatible to take. The board can take 2 RAM chips, so it's easy for you to upgrade RAM if you want. And then there's also the fan here, obviously for cooling purposes. So right here we've got the motherboard here. Right, okay, so what you do now when you have accessed the motherboard, which is easily accessible here, you will then need to locate the BIOS chip. The BIOS chip is an 8-pin chip. It's got different manufacturers, but most common is the Winbond. So you need to locate the BIOS chip, and then after you've located it, you then need to flash the corrupt BIOS. After flashing the corrupt BIOS, and then you load it with working BIOS that you can get from the manufacturer's website. Right, so locating the BIOS chip is a task that needs one to know exactly what they're doing here, because the laptop, as you can see, has got a lot of chips that are there. So I need to take off the RAM first. For you to be safe, you need to remove the RAM chips here from the RAM slots. Right, okay, so I've taken it off. I'll also take out the NVMe, the storage here, and I'll also take out the BIOS battery here, but the CMOS battery, sorry. Right, okay, so our BIOS chip now is this one, the one that's close to the CPU. So this is the BIOS chip now. So we are going to undo this to remove this BIOS chip from the board. And then when we've removed the BIOS chip from the board, what we're going to do is we're going to program the BIOS chip when it's away from the board. When you try to, there's some cases when BIOS chips can be programmed whilst they are attached on the main board, but chances of failure are very high. It's really advisable for you to take it to detach it from the board, and then you program it away from the board, and then you solder it back onto the board. So watch out for the next video where we're going to detach this BIOS chip, program it, and then put it back on the motherboard, and then we test our laptop.